Gwen, how are we tonight?
All right, we okay. I'm sorry, my music died on the intro. I don't know what happened there.
It's all good. Look, I blew my nose when I was at the main paranormal and horror convention this last weekend. This ear popped, and I've not been able to hear anything out of it since.
Oh Lord!
So I don't know if I freaking messed up my eardrum or what, but you know that is what it is. Another story for another time. Everybody out there joining in, please welcome you to another episode of the Paranormal Unveiled podcast. We got a few things to go over. Number one, I want to talk about real quick the Gruesome Brew Coffee Company. So this is their Mothman Mocha Mayhem blend. Well, I met these people at the main paranormal and horror convention, and Miss Morgan over there decided to get a conversation rolling. And just to let everyone know, I have my own specialty coffee blend coming out within the next few weeks. It's coming out of this company as an official sponsor of my podcast.
Awesome. I'm proud of you, man. And Morgan, thank you, Morgan. Thank you.
Yeah, and that coffee brew will be called It Came From the Lock. It's going to be a dark roast with mocha and a hint of cinnamon.
Ooh, nice.
So I think it's going to be really good. So I'm going to have the little poster back here promoting them, and they're going to promote me. Hopefully we'll get them as a sponsor for the actual network itself. Cool. Just have to see how it goes. But otherwise than that, the main paranormal and horror convention, I want to touch on that real quick. That was an absolutely amazing event. I think the final turnout for my understanding of people that attended was 6,200 people. It was an amazing event. Big Top Tiny, like the big clown guy on stilts that was walking around. I love that dude. He was everywhere. Like he walks on them stilts with superhuman speed. I loved it. It was really cool to meet Jeff. I got to meet Ryan Buell. I got to see the Annabelle doll. It was absolutely great. But that's enough of all that. We're going to get into the show. So we have an amazing guest tonight. He's a very good friend of mine. I have personally been on his show. He is the host of the Nightmare Road Show. So everyone, please welcome to the Paranormal Unveiled family, my good friend, DKon.
Hey, what's up, guy? Damn, dude, that sounds like a sexy coffee.
It does, doesn't it?
I think it's going to be great, I think.
They should have called it the Static. You know.
Well, I kind of wanted to go with the cryptid collection that he had. And Morgan asked if anyone had a tap on the Nessie, like the Loch Ness Monster yet. And he was like, no one's done that one. I was like, all right, I'll take the Nessie brew then. And he was like, yeah, let's get it together. He's like, you send me some ideas and I'll start roasting it this week.
Oh, that sounds badass.
Yeah. So we get a bag of it each, right? You sending us a bag each.
Well, Gwen, I'll have them in Salem.
So, okay. So I'll get your used grounds.
But no, I will send you a bag, DKon. Don't worry. Your bag will be a special thank you for doing this for me last minute.
Oh, okay. Oh man, you didn't have to do that. Now you're making me blush.
You know what? I feel like it's kind of a full circle thing now. I've been on your show, now you're coming on mine. And
yeah, man.
Let me ask, how does it feel to be on the other side of the question ask table?
Yeah, what's crazy is that it feels kind of weird to be like on an actual good show.
You know? Your show is amazing, though.
The show sucks.
I love it.
But no, man, it's cool. You guys have like a really badass intro. It looks professional. My show looks like it's being done like in the back of an alley where I had to fight a couple hobos just to get the spot. Like, you know, like it's Thursday.
I'll make you an offer. I'll make you an offer if you want to come to the network. You just talk to me.
All right,
That's an offer. It's
worth
on
it.
the table.
It's worth it, DKon.
all right.
I take care of my people, don't I?
I'll talk to the team and kind of see what they think.
It's obviously up to y'all, but no pressure.
Okay.
But yeah, so the Nightmare Road Show. What got you started into wanting to do podcasting to begin with?
Damn, that's a really good question. So a long time ago, I was just going through some stuff. I had a lot of thoughts. I had a lot of time to think to myself, and I was like, you know what? Like, what if I begin to kind of voice these thoughts? You know, so I started a show. The show's long since dead. This whole thing happened. So, you know, I was like, you know what? Like, I really like this. I also really like telling stories, and you know, and for the longest time, I had no idea that I had interesting stories. You know. So I started telling them, and then people liked them. And then eventually I had caught the attention of a group of paranormal investigators, and they're like, hey, you know, like we should start a show, whatever it is, you know. So long story short, you know, I love talking to people. I love, you know, just voicing my opinion, just being silly. It's kind of a stress reliever. You know, what's insane about it is the fact that what we do, I was actually talking to Sean Burr, what we do is something that not a lot of people do, because a lot of people don't like talking to large groups of people, you know.
Right.
And if you have something to say, like just say it, you know. So I have two amazing co-hosts, you know, they're awesome. Shout out to the Oracle and the Slasher. So they're both amazing girls, and they're, you know, they're awesome. They weren't on tonight, so it's just us, man. But anyway, yeah, and it's just and describing the show, it's magic, murder, and mayhem. So it's just my chaotic stuff with their chaotic stuff, and we just throw it on. So people hop on the channel and they want to check it out, and they're like, "Oh, you do commentary over fight videos?" Like, okay, it's kind of ridiculous. And they're like, "Oh, there's magic like videos." Like, "Oh, there's true crime," and it's just like every single time, just thrown out there. You know, we need help mentally.
I feel like anyone who does a podcast kind of does, because it can get a little insane.
Just a little bit.
And so, think how many that I end up with, you know, having a hand in. It's
yeah. I'm
getting choked up over. Good grief.
Oh, jeez. I'll write you a card.
But yeah, no, me personally, I know DKon. The first time we spoke, I think I was on DKon vs. the Dark.
Yeah.
And then I was on Nightmare Road, I think twice, right?
Yep.
And
yeah. 3.
Yeah, I think
maybe, who knows?
Maybe it's you know what, it doesn't matter. But either way, I always enjoy being a part of your show. I think you have great co-hosts. I think you're amazing. The questions you ask, and we have fun.
Yeah, and we say 2 or 3 times because honestly, I wasn't sober, so I couldn't correct him, and I don't know if you were, but we were having a blast.
I probably was not.
So I mean, yeah, dude, you're a blast, man, and there's not a lot of people like you out there. So always have a great time, because okay, one of the things that I really liked about your stuff was the fact that there's all these videos online, right? And it's like, this is where the grandmother with the werewolf head appears, and also she's headless. How do you know she was a werewolf? Like, it's just part of the lore. And then they show a video, and then people are like, there it is. And then all of a sudden the video kind of cuts out, and then static comes on. He's like, all right, let me show you what's wrong with this video. You know, it's like all right, like, and then people begin to look at things and are like, oh, holy shit, I never noticed that. You know, so it's sorry, can I curse on here?
Yeah.
Okay, so people are like, I never noticed that.
I will even put the warning up.
Oh, okay.
You're covered. There you go.
Okay. Oh, all right. Awesome. So it's just it takes a very specific, keen eye to kind of do what you do, you know, because to catch something and then to analyze it, you know, because there's people out there that will release videos, and a lot of it they're doing not because it's fun. They do it because they're trying to gain, you know, clout or monetary gain, you know, all that kind of stuff. So, right. and they trick people, you know, they play on people's superstitions. So I think that it's awesome that you go out and you're like, actually, if you look at this, it's weird. And you don't even come out and you don't even say that it's complete bullshit. You're not like, this is all horse. No, it's not. I'm like, look at this. This is weird. this is weird, and look at this. This is also weird. So then at the end of the video, people get to look at it and they're like, huh, I think this may be fake.
Yeah, and that's the whole point, and I love doing what I do. I've actually right now in my camera roll, I think I have 64 breakdowns that are in the works, and I'm trying to get them done. I just have not had time in con season. Like, con season has been insane this year. But so let me ask you, you have all kinds of guests on your show, right? Like, you guys have paranormal investigators, you have ufologists, you guys have cryptozoologists. But I know it's not necessarily just people involved in the paranormal that come on your show either, right?
No, it's people of all walks of life, just people that in what it is just people that we find interesting. And we had Sean Burris from the Ghost Man. He used to have a show called Ghost Man Demon Hunter Show. Now he runs the Shadow Nation podcast, and he was on Extreme Paranormal. And he's been a good friend of mine for years, and I had him on because he was just funny. I was like, dude, you want to come on the show? And he's like, yeah. We just did it, and we just had a great time. So we just like having people on that we actually enjoy talking to, So
it makes for the best shows.
Yeah, that's what it is, because I hate when I just hate when someone has a guest on and there's no chemistry and the person's there just to do like an infomercial for his show, Yeah,
it makes the show dull. It makes it boring. And not just that, but you also have those areas of dead space. I hate dead space.
Yeah, I mean, not like this. This is hold on. Not like this. This is natural. No, but it is one of those things where you do see, and you can tell when people don't have chemistry because they're on there and the conversation is forced. You could tell they don't want to be there, and it's just it makes it hard to watch at some point because it's like, oh man, this person, he doesn't shut up about his own stuff. Like, all he's been doing is plugging his show. You ask him questions. Did you grow up here? And they're like, interesting you were to say that. My show at WW and whatever the hell they say. And that's what it becomes, And then you feel like, right? It feels like you just watched a giant infomercial and you're like, damn.
So I can agree with you on that, because let me tell you, in my time, I've been on, I think, 3 or 4 podcasts that were like that, where they would ask me a question, I'd answer the question, and then somehow or another, it became a story about themselves.
Yeah.
You hate that person in real life. You don't want to see them on the damn show.
Right? And I was like, what was the point? Like, several times I got off the show and I was like, what the fuck was the point of me being on there?
Yeah, and it's dull because it's so soul sucking. At the end of the,
it is.
You're like, damn, this person doesn't really want to talk to me. You know what I call them, and some people might find it offensive, but
Thomas.
Oh, hello, you glorious weirdos! What a sexy individual. No,
Thomas is amazing.
So you look at people and you're like, damn, you know what you are? You're a podcast whore. But I mean that's what it is. You might as well be talking to an OnlyFans person. Trying to promote their content.
That's valid.
And it's great, and you could tell because there's like no substance there. They like really have nothing to talk about. They just like, that's all they went on the show for. I'm just gonna plug my shit and then I'm gonna leave. Kind of like that awkward moment when you're with somebody and then like you're like, so what are you from? And they're packing up their clothes and they're leaving. You're like, where are you going? It feels the same way.
Right.
You're like, damn, I shouldn't have told those dad jokes beforehand.
Oh, but you should have. I mean, you have to.
Yeah, just to give them an extra 5 minutes. Hey, have you seen Pretty Woman? Where are you going?
That's correct. So before you started Nightmare Road, let me ask you, have you ever had a paranormal experience yourself?
Yeah, I have, and I've had a lot. So I grew up in El Salvador, so my family's from there, and that whole country is extremely superstitious. Like in that country, and it's in Central America, folks. So in that country, it's just it's the smallest country, probably in the world. It's tiny. Idaho is bigger than El Salvador. So,
oh wow,
it's a giant rainforest. Yeah. So there's so much superstition there that if you were to tell somebody like, I really don't believe in the supernatural, they look at you like you're stupid. You're like, what are you, dumb? Like, what's wrong with this person? Did you know that he doesn't? He doesn't believe in witches. You know,
And
people like,
and that's the crazy thing, is there's so many other countries that they have that existential belief. Like, it is a firm instilled belief in their culture. And then you come to, like America, and there's so many people that don't believe. It's kind of weird, the dynamics on that.
yeah, and I think with the cultural shift, that's what happened, because this country used to be very superstitious. It's just part of the roots, man. It's just part of the struggle, and then I think as soon as something becomes, established, it's people come along and they're like, if you believe this, you're wrong. And unfortunately, I'm a skeptic with a lot of things, but I think that because of my upbringing and everything, like I just can't be skeptical with everything, paranormal story. Holy shit, where do I even start?
You can tell as many as you want, brother. This is your show. I'm just a guy asking questions.
All right, I'm gonna tell a quick story. So I hope you guys get ready. Here we go. So when I was a kid, this is in California before we moved to El Salvador. When I was a kid, there was a woman that lived upstairs. Her name was Blanca, and she had a little girl and a little boy, and she would pay. How old was I? I think I was like 6, maybe. So she lived on the apartment upstairs, and her husband would go from Mexico, would visit her like once a month. He would show up, and he would ask my mom, he's like, hey, can you watch the kids, for one night? I'm going to take her dancing. I'm going to take her, they were just doing the nastiest shit. So it's like, I'm going to take her dancing. I'm going to take her, whatever. And this dude was like in his 40s. I think Blanca was like in her mid 20s. So this guy would show up. He would give my mom, this was in the 90s. He would give my mom like $400 to $500 cash to watch. And we were poor. So like that was like an opportunity. So he'd go, and then he'd come knock on the door like at 3 a.m, tuk, 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 like, hey, we're here for the kids, whatever. So one day we go to visit family in El Salvador. So, we're gone. And my dad ends up like, telling us his story. He's like, you'll never guess what happened. It's like, well, what happened? So there was these people, and they were asking a lot of questions. They were talking about the guy that showed up. They're talking about Blanca and her husband. All that stuff. So he's like, really? And he goes, yeah, they're asking a lot of questions. So, that's weird. So anyways, we came back to the United States, and then one day we hear is boom, boom, boom on the door, boom, boom, door upstairs. Door gets kicked in. There's helicopters in the sky, and they're arresting. Turns out this guy was a cartel member. He was a drug runner for the cartel. And this was in California. This was in Los Angeles. So they arrested him. So that happened. So then weeks go by, and weird things begin happening around the house. There was this closet door that was in the middle of the living room. Me and my brother were, at the table. We're playing Pogs. Who remembers Pogs? We're playing Pogs. And not the Jennifer Love Hewitt kind, the actual Pogs. So as we're playing Pogs, this closet door slammed shut. Just boom, slammed shut. Thank you, guys. I'll be here for a while. Slammed shut, and the door opens.
I love your joke, DKon.
Opens slowly, and then slams again, and then opens slowly, and then slams shut again. And then we're like, what is going on? And my dad, he always wanted to keep us calm. He's like, it's okay, listen, it's fine. And he tries to make up some bullshit story to kind of keep us calm. It's the draft that came in. Many years later, I started doing the same thing with people. It's like, oh, my house is haunted. Listen, it's probably just a draft, whatever it is. Anyway, so that ended up happening. And then a couple nights later, my brother pours himself some orange juice, leaves the cup on the counter, and the cup just flies off the counter. And they're like, okay, things start getting weirder. We start hearing little voices, little whispers throughout the house. One day, 2 a.m, our door just boom, 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 just knocking, boom, boom, boom. They open the door, and here comes Blanca. She's scratched, arms, her legs. I remember, like, looking back now, I'm like, wow, she has some really big legs. So, like, just scratched, and she was just frantic. She was trying to talk. She couldn't talk. She was panicked. She's like, like trying to talk, and she couldn't get there. Finally, they calmed her down. They're like, what happened? She said she met this guy who was a brujo. He was a witch, and he told her that if she had these medals and did these spells and did all these things, that a spirit can come in and not only help free her husband, but also punish all the people that were responsible for him getting arrested. So she said that, you know, she was doing her ritual, whatever. And then he said this shadow thing comes out and like grabs her by the neck. And she showed her, she had these big handprints, grabbed her by the neck and just started to claw at her. And then she ran out of the apartment, you know. Ghost draft. She ran out of the apartment. I said that I had a hurt ankle, so I wasn't drafted. So she came down, right? And she was like panicking, telling us, and my dad's like, relax. And she's like, where are your kids? I left them upstairs, you know. So we all ran upstairs, and I followed them for some reason. She just panicked. She ran out of the apartment. So I was there for, I don't know why, but I chased behind him, like, let's go. You know, we kind of helped grab the daughter and everything. And she had altars. I just remember my dad was also a handyman. My dad worked at a steel mill, and then he was a handyman. And every once in a while, he was a bartender. And also he taught self-defense to the police. He's ex-military. So anyway, so we helped paint her apartment. It was all white when we first did her apartment. It was all black and red. She had altars. She had candles. She had basically she had like lost her mind, you know. And then my dad was like, "There's heavy magic here." He says, "You need to take everything and start destroying it." So he's like takes these like big aluminum metals and he's folding them back and forth and he's destroying them. He's like knocking over candles, knocking over stuff, and he's like, "You need to clean this house." So that's one of the stories that I got for you.
That's pretty wild. I mean, I understand in the panic state leaving your kids upstairs, but wow.
Yeah, looking back now, I'm like, what an idiot.
Right?
Also, because it's just such a weird memory that I had to get confirmation from my older brother and then from my parents. It's like, remember this thing with X? I was like, ¿te acuerdas de lo que pasó con Blanca? And I'm like, yeah. Did that actually happen? They're like, yeah. And I was like, okay, I just didn't know if it was a false memory. You know, it turns out, yeah, that whole thing happened. So after that, you know, my dad kind of helped her, you know, I guess cleanse not just herself, but the whole environment and everything. And he walked around her apartment looking for objects. So finally, you know, he ended up like helping her, and then she moved out. I don't know what happened with her. She just left.
Interesting.
Yeah. And looking back now, I'm like, did that actually happen? And I just asked for details. Like, did she have red on her neck? And they're like, yeah, something grabbed her. Basically everything she said. And who would do that to themselves, you know, like for attention,
right?
You know, and I remember
you couldn't, like, not like that.
No, not like that. There was I remember she was kind of like doing this with her hands a lot, and there was like blood like running on the elbow because the scratches were all the way down, and they were like on her legs. And then I remember as a kid, you kind of don't have, because you're not thinking that way, but she was wearing these short shorts. And then I was kind of like walking around her, just looking. Like, now I understand that's seen as inappropriate. Like, yeah, you don't want to do that. You know? But as a kid, I'm just like looking at her scratches, and they were everywhere. And then many years later, I'm like, damn, she had nice legs. Anyway, so that's what. So
this is why I love this guy.
Yeah. So that's one story, right?
So have you ever physically been on an actual like paranormal investigation?
No, but not as an investigator. But so back in my day, I used to, you know, do like private security for people. And it was anything from college campuses to office buildings. And if I needed extra money, I would end up, you know, just, you know, be like, hey, for this fee, I can either follow you around, make sure nobody, you know, hurts you or whatever. So I've been like on places, not investigating, but just making sure that there was no first clearing the building, because what a lot of people don't think about when they go investigate, especially if the person that owns the facility, like if it's an old warehouse, like Lifetime, this company bought all these it used to be an old military base during World War II. So there was train tracks, you know, and abandoned warehouses just everywhere. And the guy that bought that was renting he was leasing it to Lifetime. So he owned all these warehouses. He also, like around Halloween, he would like be like, yeah, you guys can come and investigate the warehouses, you know, if you guys want. But what people don't think about is like, did you ever think of sweeping it for homeless people or drug addicts? And
you know,
and then they're like, no, we didn't even think of that. So So I would go in beforehand. I'm like, all right, so 20 minutes before you guys actually start, I'll go sweep the area. Now to go and make sure that there was like nothing there, like no people or anything like that. But I will say this: there was a time when these people were investing. I was like, I'll go watch the door. I was like, you guys go. I'll watch the door. You guys are in there. There's no one here. I'll make sure no one comes in. So I'm out there just bored out of my mind, just just thinking about that lady's legs, and just like and just standing there. And then I hear somebody behind me, and I was like, do you want me to help you find something out of the truck? Because I'm assuming somebody forgot something. It was dark and I had a flashlight. I was like, you need me to help? There was no one there. And I'm like, oh, that's so bizarre, because I heard them walk up. Tuk, 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 and I was like, yeah, Blanca's leg. And I was like, what? Huh? And I turn around to kind of like to kind of see what's going on. There's no one there. And I could have sworn I heard the footsteps behind me. And when you can feel when somebody's like right behind you, it's like the hairs on the back of your neck will stand up. That's what I felt. So I turned around just like to ask this person, like, hey, what's going on? There's no one there. And then I was like, did any of you guys ever come out to talk to me or maybe? And they're like, no, we were, over here. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, that was weird. And my solution to all that is I'm like, man, I must have been really tired, You're
100% right, though. There are so many people that go into these locations and they don't think about the safety aspect of sweeping it for homeless people, drug addicts. And I do know personally a few people that are teams that have went into a place and found a homeless person in there, and they were not too well received by said homeless person.
Could you imagine they're over there, the voice recorder, is anybody here? And they're like, yeah, my name is Sticky Charlie. And they're like, holy shit, it's Sticky Charlie.
Have you seen my spoon?
Have you seen my spoon? You got any glue? And holy shit, there's a drug addict ghost. No, it is, and it's not just that, but I think people are very careless when they go. Either they're really careless, or the owner of the company or the property is not thinking about being sued or anything like that. He's like, yeah, just go ahead. There's a second story. Like, yeah, go ahead. It's an old building. And it's like, dude, are you checking the integrity of this floor? Are you checking the stairs? Like,
I bet not.
No. There was a story where somebody put their foot through a floorboard and then broke their ankle mid-investigation. I'm like,
ouch.
It happens.
It's like, how did that feel? Oh, it was, pretty scary, isn't it? I almost fell through the floor, So it's just things like.
And it does happen, though, unfortunately. But that's also where I kind of wish some other teams would take advice on me. I have two people on my team, myself and my father, who are the part of my team, that are both certified in first response aid, as far as first aid, using a CPR, AED, all that good stuff. It doesn't hurt to have that.
Yeah, or at least talk to people about safety.
We have a safety team that goes in and before anybody and we'll even mark stuff, like if it's a stair you can't see it, especially in the dark. And I was a medic, so we're covered on that. We have other people that military that have the medical part training and stuff. Yeah, hey.
And if you're dedicated to investigations and all that kind of shit, take a CPR class.
Yeah,
it doesn't, because there's also situations where somebody could have a heart attack, and unfortunately, the more people there is, helping, they're actually harming the person, because not only inducing panic, but they could be doing all the wrong things.
Yeah, so, you're 100% right on that too.
There was a case where this guy ended up having a seizure, and he had a seizure. And he was on the floor, and then somebody went and grabbed the coat, rolled it up, and put underneath his head, so elevated his head. Like, yeah, you don't want to do that. You got to make sure his head's flat. Just make sure he's not banging against the ground. And they had no idea that this person could actually suffocate, if their head was forward. And it's just, it's just like a little bit of, even watch a video like on YouTube. You could probably, or if you're gonna be with a team, it wouldn't hurt. Like, they just watch like a 5-minute video on, just first aid and all that kind of stuff.
I'm behaving, Russ.
Yeah, never.
Never.
A little bit. He's behaving a
little bit. Yeah, he is. Yeah. I gotta give it to you.
Yeah, we partied. We were hanging out with Stinky Charlie.
I still haven't found a spoon.
No,
Yeah.
but it's a lot of things. A lot of the times, what you find in a lot of those abandoned warehouses is actually scarier than what you're looking for. You could fall off a rail. You can, stab your foot through just whatever. You can find a violent person in there, and in the end, that's scarier shit. Because, and I hate to say it this way, because okay, how do I say? I'm just gonna say it. The violent junkie is real.
Yes.
Like him hitting you in the side of the head with a bat is scarier than somebody just going to boogie, 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 and apparently the ghost is from Louisiana. So yeah, it's just like one of those things. You just got to be careful, just sweep the area, be safe, and that's the only investigation I've ever been in. It's just watching.
Now, Thomas made a point that his the shaman and the showman, they have insurance. Well, our team has insurance when we do locations and stuff too, but there's some teams that just go into anything, and that's kind of not safe. So
even in people's houses, like we're gonna go investigate your house, and I'm like, ooh, that is a insurance nightmare. Like you got to be really careful. That's why I don't recommend. Plus, you don't know who's on that team. You don't know if somebody's a klepto, somebody just started their, they just kicked their meth habit that they promised to leave behind. Like you don't know what's going on.
Yeah, if someone out there is taking on a residential case, you have to make sure that the team that you're dealing with is 100% credible. I do a lot of residentials. That's what I do typically. When I take a case, it's residentials. I do the paracons and stuff because they're fun, but that's what I've always done pretty much is residential stuff. So, and there is a manner in which you conduct yourself, and there's a manner in which you don't. And a lot of people that are newer to the field, they don't understand that. Like they don't understand the going in there. You can make things worse if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. And that's another thing too is, and damn, right now this is such a hot topic, but like the Warrens,
Well, why has the comment section turned into an attack Nate night?
Well,
it's not.
I don't know. It's because
I know I'm messing with them.
It's because, man, you're an easy target. You're beautiful.
That's fair enough. So let's go about the war. So back to the war.
Yeah, we can hate you, because it makes us feel better about ourselves. At least that's what I'm
good with this. But y'all have better looking hair than I do, I'm sure.
So with the Warrens, with the Warrens, I mean, I have my own. You guys can check out my opinions on the channel. Actually, don't do it. So with the Warrens, there's a case. I forget which one it was. It's the Smurl family where they went in there, and you had Ed Warren. He's like, all right, well, let's do religious provocation, and he's like, hey, and he's shouting shit, and then they leave. And the family was like, it got a lot worse, that when they left. And that's like an example of that is him just showing up and like, hey, and he's like, where's my money? He's yelling to the ghosts, and then he ends up leaving. And then you leave that family,
right,
with in a lot worse situation than what just started off. I mean, and that's a story where I hear it every once in a while, especially if you're like into paranormal and just like, let's see what's going on. And some people will complain over a certain team. Like there's teams out there and it's like they came in, they did all kinds of things. They shouted at the ghosts and now things are a lot worse. And I'm trying to contact them and no one shows up, or they stop responding, and I wonder if that's because they were never serious about it, or they just don't know any better, or they just don't believe in it and they're like, who cares? This is good.
Most likely what happened was they used provocation, which I never recommend, especially if you're in a residential case. They most likely used provocation. They got no evidence to prove anything otherwise, and so they left thinking the place isn't haunted. So if they think the place is not haunted, they most likely are not going to respond if they're not a professional team. A professional team is going to be like, oh, so it got worse after we left because of what we did. Well, please, let's reschedule. We'll come back, see if we can square this away, make it right.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people, they just go, they do whatever the hell. They don't know what they're doing, and then they don't see anything, so they're like, what? There's nothing here. Let's just go,
right,
without knowing.
And then you're 100% right on that. So what if you were involved with the right people, would going on a paranormal investigation to actually physically see how it works for yourself be something you'd be interested in doing?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm always up for an adventure. I'm usually bored, so I'm like, yeah, let's go.
Where are you located, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm in Idaho.
Okay.
So what would you rather do? Like a Bigfoot hunt, a UFO watch or a ghost hunt?
See, that's a hard one. With the Bigfoot and the UFO hunts, what's cool about that is you're outdoors. You get to do all kinds of shit. You get to see the people that are not outdoorsy. They just like the whole thing and they're complaining, and they're like, I'm gonna have my mom pick me up in like 5 minutes, because I don't like this. But with the ghost investigation, I'll be honest with you, like with a lot of ghost hunts, it involves two of my favorite things: wandering around aimlessly and disappointment. So
that's fair.
But it's more mellow. I mean, you're just like, what are we doing? And it's fun, and even though I'm very skeptical in a lot of things, it's just fun. Like, it's almost like a fun little adventure. Let's see what we can find, like dumpster diving. Let's see what we can find. Am I going to find a hidden treasure or just hepatitis? You just never know.
Could be either.
Yeah, it could be both.
Realistically, it could be either.
It could be shit. You can get hepatitis in somebody's house depending on who owns it.
Some of these buildings, if you're not careful walking where you're walking, you're going to end up with tetanus too.
Yeah, or a dirty homeowner. That's a little handsy. No, and I don't know, man. I guess it also depends who you're going with, because some people are just so lame, and they either take it way too serious. Or mom, pick me up. Yeah, they either take it way too serious, where you're like, man, look at the historical. Shut up, like I'm trying to do. That you get that person, or you get the person that panics. And if you're with somebody that's cool, we don't have to like really find any spectral beings. All we have to do is just hang out. It's fun.
I feel like for me though, it is always a good thing if you have the opportunity and there's no activity going on. Hide in a dark spot. Wait for someone to walk by. Jump out and scare the shit out of them.
Yeah. Oh, geez. That's not where I was going to go with that one. I think I'd say, like, hide in a dark spot. Just start drinking. That's what I do.
No. I don't drink on investigations. But
not a good idea.
But no, I try to do that every time I investigate. I try to find a nice dark spot if the activity's slow, and I wait for someone to walk by so I can just jump out and scare the shit out.
Just scare them, makes Zach Baggins get affected, just by jumping out at him. Did you hear them? I'm being affected right now. They're gonna lay down.
So, I know you've talked to a lot of different people that are involved in cryptozoology, right? And there's so many cryptids around the world. Do you have a favorite one?
Damn, geez Louise. That is a great question. What is my favorite cryptid? I couldn't even. I'm gonna say possibly the Jersey Devil or Chicago Mothman.
Chicago Mothman. I like how you specified it there.
Yeah, not because of the Mothman itself, but because of all the interviews of the Chicago people when they ask them, like, what's going on? Like, so what did you see? There I was right outside of the Gene and Jude's, and best damn hot dogs you can ever find. Right? Don't let anybody tell you different. If somebody wants to tell you, like, go get the Red Hots, like, your own damn business, ruin your life. But there I was, right? And what's awesome about people from Chicago is they never get to the damn point, It's like, right. So there I was, right? There I was. I look up at the sign, and up in the sign, there's that guy. He's flying that watermelon. That watermelon flying machine, and I like that. I love the shit out of that sign. I tell the kids, "Hey, look at that flying watermelon machine guy! Like it's awesome." Anyway, on top of this water, the weirdest thing. What was it? The weirdest thing besides a watermelon flying machine, there was like if a man was a bat, if a bat was a man, I don't know what you would call that, but there he was, right? Outside the Gina. Holy shit, the other day I had a couple margaritas outside there. Yo, be careful. I should have knocked you on your ass. So there I was, and my brother had to come get me. And it's like, what happened to, like, what did you see? So I like Chicago Mothman because of those interviews. Because
he's not lying. I've seen some of these interviews. That's almost exactly how it goes.
They're ridiculous. It's like, oh, by the way, if you have too many margaritas, and you get pulled over, tell him that Tino. He'll hook you up. Anyway, so there I was, and then it's like just the concept of Chicago Mothman and these people out there. There was a Mothman, and it's awesome, But what I like about that concept is that it just shows like the Mothman is either a different Mothman or it's traveling around,
Right.
And Chicago, the Mothman is supposed to be like either a harbinger of bad things, or he warns people And when you look at the state of Chicago, and I'm like, yeah, of course there's a Mothman here.
Yeah,
look at the atrocities being committed besides the Gene and Jude hot dogs. Anyway.
Yeah, I flew into Chicago when I went over to Broadhead in Wisconsin. Was not a fan of the city.
Why is it too cold, or you don't like Wisconsin?
I just don't like Chicago.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I enjoyed Wisconsin. Wisconsin was nice. I enjoyed Wisconsin.
Yeah, so I guess the Mothman is one of them because it's just like so eerie. Like you don't know what it is, you know what's going on. But also, I could kind of say that I'm a fan of the Loch Ness Monster, you know, because that's one of those things where it's residing in an area where you can't really say that it's not there. Because you can't really say like there's nothing here. Like, well, did you find the bottom? Well, no, we never did, but like so they could be there. Well, you know, and it just makes a great argument, you know. Have you ever found the bottom of
and not just that, but the history. I mean, that thing has been cited for how many hundreds of years now? I mean, people are seeing something, but what is it?
True.
The right tour guide to Chicago?
Yeah, I think that's what he's talking about.
He's from Wisconsin, but he grew up in Chicago.
Oh, okay.
So he's saying you need to write tour guide. Yeah.
Oh, to show you the guy in the flying watermelon.
The most that I saw was when me and Bill were driving back from the airport. The terrifying driving that occurs in that city. I don't want to be around it.
Yeah, bunch of people wielding hot dogs, and you know, yeah, no thanks. You know, Lori Lightfoot. You know, she looked like the mayor of Gotham City with clothes that are a little bit too big. You know, I was like, why are you dressed like that? You know. Anyway.
So if you look back, because I know, man, you've been doing your show for quite a while now. If you look back to your guest list and you think about it, me excluded, you cannot choose me to earn brownie.
Damn it!
Do you have a favorite guest that you've brought on to talk to?
Damn, that's a really good question. I would say Sean Burris, just because he's just like a fun, wild dude, and I think that my energy and his energy just kind of are very similar. To where, you know, if they were to analyze us, they'd be like, you guys are both like severely mentally, you know, behind, you know. Well, no, but it's just wild because also he's very experienced in the paranormal. He's done it. Damn, he's had a show for like over 20 years now. He was on A&E, you know, Extreme Paranormal, and you just watch him just be just wild dude. And he's like that in real life. Like he's just not like that for people are like, I wonder if he's really like that on TV or on the show. Like, no, he's like that in real life. Just a wild dude, loves to have fun, go out and he investigates, and he just has a great time, you know, because he loves it. You know, it's just fun for him.
But that's the whole thing. If you're in this paranormal field and you're doing it to gain fame, you're in it for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
You do it because you love it. You want to help people. And honestly, you have to make it fun. It should be fun. If it's not fun, it's more like a job and you don't enjoy it.
Yeah, and you do see that a lot. I think that's when people end up, you know, making shit up because they just want to, because it is a job for them and they're like, damn, like this is their Christmas bonus. Like I better get. Did you see that controversy with what the hell's his name? Zach Baggins? Not the one about the cheating. Like who cares? But the thing about the tape recorder that they use a specific type of tape recorder. It's like I brought my own tape recorder, and it's a brand that was discontinued because it had something was wrong with it. Where
the Panasonic DR60.
Yes, that's exactly it. Look at you sexy bastard. Yeah, and he would go like, "Hello, is anybody here?" You know, and you replay it, and you hear it echoes back to what you're saying, only distorted.
Yep.
Flying watermelon machine, you know, and you're like, "Holy shit," you know.
And you're 100% right. And the recorder was only made for 1 year, and it was first released in Japan. And the issue they were having was people thought they were hearing spirits come over the voice recorder. And the Japanese people are so superstitious about their spiritual stuff that they stopped making the recorder altogether. And what it is it's the internal mechanisms and the way that they're built. Not only does your voice echo through the recorder itself, but the internal mechanisms, the sounds, they can create what sounds like voices through audio pareidolia.
Yeah, there was like, and the mic was super sensitive, so like
Yes.
anything was going on to where if you're talking and you're like, is there Chicago Mothman here and he's scratching, it'll pick it up and it'll just like, if you replay it, it's like it's picking up the scratching sound. So I guess they went to an investigation and they went to this lady's house. It's horrible. She's terrified because he's like, I don't know how to tell you this, but I went through your whole house and I'll play the recording. And it's like him like, hello, is anybody here? And then you just hear the, he's like, well, I'm going to put the rosary beads on you. And he puts it, and this lady
I just watched that episode.
Yeah, and she's crying.
She was hysterical.
Like, yeah, because she was scared, like this is a person that was extremely religious. And, she was crying hysterically. And he was like, hey, Aaron, put the beads on her. And he like puts the, and he does. And I think he even got affected. Oh, I'm getting affected. And he like lays down or whatever. And
imagine that happening to him.
Huh? Yeah. Aaron, rub my feet, and he does all that. Anyway, so that ends up happening. And I guess that he went on an investigation. Hey, take it easy there, Gwen. He went on an investigation. And on this investigation, people told him, like, hey, we got these tape recorders. He's like, no, I'll keep mine. He's like, I'll keep my tape recorder. Why did he keep that? Because it, because of the feedback. And he knew that there was something wrong with it because somebody told him. It's like, I can't believe you used that.
It's crazy that people buy into it. Because, like, if you go and actually research the recorder itself, and don't get me wrong, there's so many teams out there that swear by it. And you know what? That's their opinion. I'm not going to tell them they're wrong for using it, but I'm going to tell them to take the evidence they catch with it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, like actually test out your equipment. Like don't just go out there blind and then trust the, And a lot of the people that do use that tape recorder and it's not even cheap. Last time I checked, it was like $1,000 or something. It was weird.
Yeah, they're around $1,000.
Yeah,
I used to actually own one. I bought one. 9-10 years ago. And at some point when I moved, I lost it, unfortunately. If I had known that it was going to be so popular, I'd have put that fucking thing in a lockbox.
Yeah. Imagine if the Warrens got a hold of that. You would have had, I had Warren. Hello, anybody here? It's like, oh, look, it's a,
I love those old school tape recorders, though, that you see.
Yeah,
like,
with the little tapes, and then, you're shuffling through, like your April O'Neil, like shuffling through your stuff.
I still have one of those.
With the mini tape.
Yeah, those are cool. I would see if I were to go on like an let's say that I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna try to see if I can have somebody come through an EVP through a recording thing. I would get as the Home Alone recorder. Yes, start using that. Like, yeah. No, I'm like Macaulay Culkin. But anyway, so these people knew that thing was flawed and they used it because it was flawed. And there's teams out there that do have the same, and because there's people out there that emulate or they idolize, the Ghost Adventures people, either because they're like, wow, these people are super experienced and they're awesome and they know what they're doing, or they're like, I want to make money like those guys. And what they end up doing is, what kind of equipment do they use? And it's like, oh, they use the Godzilla recorder, and then they go and they buy it, and they're like, wow, I'm actually picking shit up, and then
I don't have pockets that deep.
Yeah, well, some people out there, they sell things or they just spend money they don't have because they have a dream, and they might buy, like, Zach Baggins use this, I'm gonna use it too, and this whole time they're just, if they don't know they're that the machine's broken, it just sucks, and I feel bad for them, because it's like, damn.
It's like when you watch the newer shows, like Ghost Adventures uses them as well, the REM pods. I trust my crystal pod before I trust a REM pod. A REM pod is nothing more than a repackaged Junior Theremin kit. That's all it is. And it's put in a fancy case with some blinky lights, and everyone's like, ooh.
Yeah, no, dude, I'd trust a girl named Crystal before I trust anything that the Zach Baggins and all those people use.
You got it.
So in my closet, I have a piece of device. I have a device that was made by a lady named Lauren Hellickson. It's called the Crystal Pod. It actually doesn't work off of proximity. It works off of electrostatic.
Okay.
It's a very interesting device because a REM pod, you can stick a marker up to it, and it will go off. This, I can stick a marker right up to the antenna. I could touch the antenna and it will not go off. It will not go off until my hand is about this far from the antenna.
Dude, have you ever been to a place where they swear by it and it's like, dude, I swear this place is haunted. Everybody that comes here, and they have the EMF readers and everything, and then you realize they have copper pipes throughout the whole damn house, and it's just like picking up. You know what I mean? It's just picking up like, yeah, all that shit, and then you have to break it to them. Like, damn. And either one or two things: either the person would be like really disheartened, like, ah, man, I thought I had something, or they'd be like, who cares? You know.
Laura makes great equipment. But no, I have seen that before, and and I kind of feel like, excuse me, another thing in the paranormal is overhyped locations.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Places like the Lizzie Borden house, for example. A lot of people love that place. I went there, spent a night, slept in the spot where they found Mrs. Borden's body, even tried to recreate the murder of Mr. Borden on the
Dude, take it easy.
And I experienced nothing the whole night, not even a sound.
So what do you think do you think it's because, you know how a lot of people, they're like, oh, you got to be careful with this house because someone died here. People die everywhere. And with the Lizzie Borden house, do you think just because it was a famous story, like maybe they're the only ones that fucking actually lived in that house and that's it? That's the only bad thing that happened. So people expect it to be like this giant, like Zach Baggins adventure, and they get them, they're disappointed. They're like, what happened? And it's like,
unfortunately, that wasn't the only tragedy that happened on that property. Several years before that, Lizzie Borden's aunt actually drowned 2 of her children in the well on the property.
No shit. Is that a real story?
It is real.
I thought they just made that up.
That is not made up.
Oh shit. See, like, okay. There used to be a show called what was this? Paranormal State. Do you remember that?
I met Ryan Buell this weekend in Maine.
Yeah, the Paranormal State, and they were talking about that one time. I'm like, are you making shit up?
Right. That part of it. So that was not made up at all. That particular portion of that story, that is a fact. But yeah, I met Ryan Buell at Maine this weekend. He signed my book because I have the original Paranormal State book, and he was like, I haven't seen one of these in a while. But
yeah, it's just like, that's why I was kind of wondering if it was real, because you know how there's you always know that person that's telling you a story, and it's like the story didn't get the what do they call it? Didn't get the outcome that you wanted in people's faces, the reaction. So they just kind of like pile shit up on top of it just to like, so it's like, so there we go, right? And I got mustard all over my shirt, and because this guy spilled it, and then everybody's like, okay, so you're like, oh fuck, you're like, so then I fucking stabbed him, and it's like, what the hell, because he's piling on, like trying to make the story more exciting. And it seems like you get that in paranormal places. You're like, yeah, this person, he had a heart attack in this living room, and they're like, oh, okay. And you see they're not like, and he had a heart attack because he was drowned in the tub, and then he had a heart attack. That's what I thought it was. It was just somebody, a tragedy happened, and they piled on. You know what I mean?
No, you are right. There are a lot of different cases where if you watch television shows, especially, they embellish for TV. Okay, they add on different aspects that never actually happened, or they tweak the facts to make it more interesting for the viewing audience. That does happen quite a bit, and it's very unfortunate, because if you're going to go in and do something like this for a TV show, at least keep the history accurate. We know that sometimes the actors, they embellish what the hell they're doing, because that's what they get paid to do. Hence the reason people get possessed every episode of Ghost Adventures, or they get affected. Not trying to name drop the show. My bad. I normally don't do that. But yeah, embellishments are going to happen in the world of, television making, but at least keep the history accurate.
Yeah, and like I get it. This is how a lot of people try to make their money and everything, but it's like, come on, guys, let's not lie to people. You know what I mean?
Right.
And there's a lot of places out there that haven't, like, oh, this place is built on top of an Indian burial ground. They're like, no, it's not. Like this, this used to be a, you know what I mean?
It used to be a Hardee's.
Yeah, this used to be what are you talking about? This was a Carl's Jr. I ate here not too long ago, last week. You know what I've always wondered? How come there's no like hauntings in places like Del Taco? Is it? You know what I'm talking about? Like, you never hear stories of
that would be a great place to investigate, because not only would you be investigating for spirits, but you have a way to make a snack when you get hungry.
Yeah, probably because everybody there that's working is already so miserable, they don't notice shit. They're probably sitting there like, I'm on my break, and fucking napkins fly everywhere. They're like, of course. You know, just keep, and they don't even acknowledge that a ghost slapped out of their hands. Instead, they're like, another mess I gotta clean up. You know?
I did see I don't know if it was a meme or an actual post recently where someone had on a subway door that due to recent occurrences, Ouija board sessions are no longer allowed in this restaurant. I'm kind of curious about that backstory.
Well, probably someone's, summoning the career of Jared Fogle, like trying to well, what happened? Or you never hear like, what's a really fun like hotel that has like a water slide and like a pool? Like
the Wolf. The Wolf place is great.
The Wolf Lodge.
Is that place actually? Like I've never heard stories like by the pool or something like that. Probably because. Somebody's like on top of the slide and a ghost comes up and they're like, the guy's like, wee, just like slides down. And he's like, they didn't even notice me. He's too busy having fun.
Thomas, they haunt him after.
After any taco place, that location is going to be haunted. You're going to have Zach Baggins be affected in that restroom.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, Lord.
A couple bars in bars are one of the most common places to be haunted for whatever reason. But a strip club, that's interesting.
I wonder with the I've been a bouncer at strip clubs. Like, holy shit, you don't want to go there. It's so dirty. Anyway, so like places like bars, I imagine the reason why a lot of places are haunted is because you also have to think that a lot of people that go there are just, some people go to have fun, right? Some people are like, I'm going to go have a blast. But then there's people there that are just either very depressed or very unhappy with their life. And they go there to drown their sorrow, and all that negative shit just follows them. And it's almost like a giant magnet of negativity, because how many people there are there just to do like bad shit, and they, knowing like, oh, my wife told me not to drink tonight, so don't tell anybody, and
so it's almost like what you're describing is making me think, or I would believe, that bars, they kind of fall victim to the stone tape theory of the energy imprinted into the environment.
Yeah. Also you got to think like how, because also when there's we talked about this on the show about how when someone has a fight in a room, and the room's heavy, and you're like,
you can walk in and feel it.
Yeah, you feel it. And it's just so dark. You're like, what the fuck? Like, and everybody's quiet, and they're like, what happened?
But you yourself are uncomfortable even if you didn't know what happened.
Yep.
Yeah. So, DKon, I see that we got about a minute and a half left.
Oh, shit.
That went by really quick.
It did.
He's a time Nazi, too. Oh, yeah.
I am. I try to keep my guests on for an hour. That's what I told them they'd be here for. So let me ask you, DKon, where can people find you if you want them to go and follow your show, which I would highly recommend, guys. Trust me, I've been a guest on the show myself. It is fun.
Yeah, don't. No, if you guys want to, no, my co-host will kill me. Over at a Nightmare Roadshow on YouTube, there's also a link tree attached to that page, so you guys can actually see my art, see my merch.
Oop.
Stone tape, yes. You see some stoned patriots on there. Anyway, so so I have merch. We have a TikTok and all that kind of good shit. Mugs, shirts, get all that kind of good shit. So that's it, guys.
I'll tell you, it's a great show. But I got a few more questions for you, 3 to be specific. Actually, one of them's a multi-part.
Mm-hmm.
I always end the show with these specific questions. Number 1, you have a haunted location that is on your bucket list. What location are you going to?
Oh, man. If I can, let's see. Probably I would go to Gettysburg.
Gettysburg, I like it. So you got Gettysburg. Question number 2, you could pick one person, dead or alive, to bring with you on this investigation. Who are you bringing?
Anybody?
Anybody? That's not an answer I've ever heard.
Okay, here we go. Probably Donald Trump.
That's an interesting
That's
point.
Original, yes.
Because imagine him walking in there and they'd be like, a lot of people said that this whole place was haunted. I walked in and like, wow, this place is haunted, and he's probably be like, you'd probably be provoking the ghost. It's like, you're gay, you know, and just like talking shit like, dude, you might want to stop. You know, that's
They're
outlast.
so beautiful. They're the most beautiful ghosts.
They said my hair's great, you know. All the ghost ladies were all over me. So probably him.
I like it. I like it. That's
That's
unique. It's original. I enjoy it. So we got Gettysburg bringing Donald Trump. You got one piece of equipment that you can take with you and one piece only. What are you bringing with you and why?
Probably that broken recorder.
Okay, well, why?
Okay.
Well, because then you could play it back, like be like, hey, listen to this response, and it's like, wow, and there's like holy shit, you know, they don't like Trump.
I love it. I love it.
These
love
communist ghosts. You know?
I love it. DKon, I thank you so much for coming on the show on such short notice, brother. Thank you so much. If you wouldn't mind, hang out in the background for about another maybe 5 minutes. I typically have some follow-up questions after the show. But thank you so much for coming on the show. I really enjoyed having you on, dude. Like, you don't realize, like, I love the way that you are. I love your energy. I love how we react. I love how we click.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, it's just sad to my mom. She thinks I'm a fucking idiot.
That's her job. That's her job.
But guys, that was tonight's episode of the Paranormal Unveiled with DKon from the Nightmare Road Show.
Yep.
I hope you
I'm gonna
enjoyed
take you
it.
down.
And thank everybody for joining in.
Say good night.
Oh, sorry,
me?
guys. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Me or him?
You, Nathan.
And
Me?
tight.
All
Yeah.
right. Good night, guys. I'll be watching over you like Santa.